Hello internet friends, my name is BoE, and this man sitting next to me is the guy that I rope into talking about these Race to World Firsts now as it comes like a just bants. Mike,
yeah,
we're a little tired.
We look terrible, don't we?
We probably look pretty bad.
Terrible, yeah. It's the end of a long 2 weeks. And I actually didn't realise it had been 2 weeks until this morning. 'Cause I spoke to Emma, my wife, and she was like, well, you've been on 2 weeks now. I was like, I don't think so. Like, it feels like it's... I thought next reset, Wednesday would be, and then she's like, you left Sunday. I was like, oh crap, it is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's been a long journey, for sure.
The journey itself, though, what would you say is the... Because let's start with the positives, right? Because there's always been some weird negatives throughout this entire thing, as there always has been, so take both. But what's your positive highlight from the event so far?
It wasn't... for sure that it wasn't 11 out of 12 on day one. Well, because that was a very real fear that everybody had. Not just the casters, but the raiders. Mm-hmm. We were very afraid we were going to be at Ny'alotha on day one, or Carapace even, because nobody was afraid of anything, which was really strange to me, because I was like, Raden's going to be hard, Il'gynoth's going to be hard, and everyone was telling me I was wrong, and Vexiona was going to be hard, and I was going, it's not. So once I cancelled everything out, I was like, nothing's left, like everything's going to be dead easy. And thankfully it didn't end that way at all.
Apparently I was the soothsayer. Remember our sit down on media day, we had our predictions, right? Mm-hmm. Before it all happened. Apparently when they replayed that after the first couple of days and I was watching Twitch chat, there was a few times when chat would just explode like, he knew inside information or whatever, because I immediately said that what's Method's stumbling point going to be, and I said Xanash. They were there for 4 hours. You and I casted 3 of that and the kill.
And the kill, yeah. That which was super fun actually. And I kind of feel guilty because I had a blast casting that. Like calling them out, having fun. They were laughing, They did stumble, they should have killed it quicker, but it was fun the whole way. And then I killed it with my guild, and it's awful. Like, it's the most painful experience in raiding is going through Xanash. Really? And I really felt some guilt that I had so much fun with it, while clearly the guys were just like...
See, I guess we started on it last night, and we sort of we had a raid at this current situation. We had a bit of a raid roster issue. 1 tank was out that we had for Shadar. We only had 4 healers instead of the 5 to make Shadar really smooth. So we switched over to do Xanash, and actually the first 2.5 hours before things started getting like obnoxious, we had a blast. We have all 4 teams there, we were moving around people to start practicing angles and stuff. We're keeping like a win-loss ratio. Even if if you take someone else's buff, not in your position, and still mess it up, you lose for your team. Yeah. So there's a couple of things we had that were a lot of fun, and I was really surprised. But then like the last hour of raid, when we're like, and we're going on to the 3rd phase, and there it goes, and it clips the thing, and it blows up, like, well, there goes 40%.
Yeah, the most fun we had was changing everyone's name in details to different famous footballers.
Oh, no.
And going back through history. So
that's pretty good.
It started to get very obscure. Like, we went back a decade, like, each time it failed.
So like Googling these names.
Yeah, we ended up with some really ridiculous names. Yeah. I'm sure in the Fat Boss video, I'm not sure if they use that anymore, because I think they got annoyed with how often we were messing with our names. So they might not actually use that functionality anymore. They might have disabled it, but it was really funny. It got very, very funny. Yeah. It was the only way. It was the only way we could keep ourselves from not getting each other's throats about it. Right. It was weird. I'll tell you the weirdest thing about it is it actually got pretty serious. It only took us about an hour and a half to kill, so we got quite lucky. And we one-shot it again this week, because it seems to be the case. You have this struggle, and after that, if you've got the same team, it seems fine.
Right, you just know your spots.
Yeah, those guys have done it before, and they're more than happy to do it now. They're comfortable doing it. But immediately after, my guild exploded into curses, bants, cheers, everything. It was like it all welled up. As we got closer and closer to the kill, they'd all like suppressed this energy of just like memeing each other as hard as they could. And immediately after Xanash died, the trash following it was just insane. Like, my ears were ringing with the shouting. It was funny. Like, everyone was in hysterics, but it all built up like this explosion of like releasing it. It was like weaponized banter that just unleashed across the raid. And that was really fun because it kind of turned it around for us and had fun. And then getting back this week and one-shotting it, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I dread it. The approach to it, it's like, okay, we're going to Xanash now. It's like, ugh. But casting it was great. Right, that was one of my best casts. Our best cast easily was when, I mean, in that 3 hour period, you know the one I'm talking about. You ambushed me with a donation thing.
I did. We had the cherry drive. I'll throw some photos up here right now in post. So, post Adam, just put pictures up here, I suppose. I'm sure there's a clip too. If I find the clip, maybe I'll just intercut that right now. So if there's like a weird break. And we're back.
Yeah.
The Chubby Bunny.
The Chubby Bunny, I'd never heard of it before this event. And then I got fed a salty licorice thing, which was disgusting.
See, that was not me.
That was actually the worst thing I've put in my mouth in a very long time. And that's saying something. It really is. But that was gross, because I had no idea what it was. I assumed it was sugar, because it was a sweetie that had come out of a sweetie bag. It was pure salt.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why anybody would eat it. And production was, because we talk to production all the time.
Yep.
Talking in my ear saying they're lovely, they're gorgeous, while I'm like trying to get it out of my mouth. But in that 3 hours, you prepared all the marshmallows. Somebody had been shopping for marshmallows. Like,
Caleb
people had
did,
actually planned this.
Calorian, the photographer on deck right now, he came to me at the moment after that I issued the challenge that day. The next day I'd kind of forgotten, and then he pulls me aside. He's like, "Babe, don't tell Mike, but I bought marshmallows." I was like, "Oh yeah,
oh yeah," because I didn't remember, because you said we issued a challenge the other day, but we cast so much.
It's true.
And we say so many things in those hours. Like, if we do 2 casts a day, that's like 6 hours, which doesn't sound a lot, but that's a lot of talking in 6 hours.
It's a lot of talking.
It's a lot of talking. So you forget stuff like that as you go through it. And then I remembered, and then I saw they came with the marshmallows and then spit buckets, and I was really feeling uncomfortable. So we set a crazy challenge. It was like $3,000 we needed. Something like 2.5 maybe.
To hit, we wanted to break over 30,000, but we were like 3K away.
Yeah, and then we got it in 10 minutes.
Well, someone did an anonymous $2,000 donation. Whoever you are out there.
From everyone else.
Yeah, holy crap! I didn't know who that was. I want to say it was someone from my community, but you may have people from your community that are also that incredibly generous. We don't know.
Checking the VOD, it's crazy, because we say the challenge, then we talk about the boss for about 30 seconds, and then I literally glance at the screen at the bottom corner. It's in the bottom left corner of the screen, and you can't see it without leaning up. So I leaned up and it was already over 30,000. I was like, oh my god, we did it in like 2 minutes.
You weren't ready. You were expecting like end of your shift.
I was expecting end of the shift, maybe it'll be a race. I could picture in my head there'd be this race for donations at the end, something like that, to cross the border, but nope, it was like 2 minutes in. And then we did that, we did the marshmallow thing, and Sophia was having a whale of a time.
Oh, she was our guest judge.
And then 20 minutes after we did that, the mayor turned up.
Yeah, what the...
All in the same shift.
Yeah.
It was literally 20 minutes after I've had marshmallow shoved in my face, and I don't like sweet things anyway, so I was trying to rinse my mouth out on the break. Then the mayor turns up, and we were memeing it in chat because the suit guy was here, which isn't that strange that people like that show up at the studio.
I thought that was just someone that like maybe was part of like the whole take organization or something like that.
Yeah, an investor or
those,
whatever. Yeah, so looking at what was going on, and then suddenly it comes, it's like, oh, it's the mayor. We hear somebody tell us that that's the mayor, so I was like, okay, that's the mayor. And then that was the weirdest message, because I don't really understand, and correct me on this, a lot of production messages only go to one guy.
Well, what they do is, like, if you're talking, they'll send me something, because obviously if you're talking, you can't listen at the same time. That would be a little bit like a little too much, right? So they try to bounce to the person that's not talking to set up like the commercial break or what's happening or what's happening, with the flying in. So that then that person leads the conversation.
Oh, 100%, that's not what happens to me.
But they just talk to you at the same
Constantly.
time?
Yeah, constantly. Like, literally constantly. I have never, in this entire event, had somebody else throw to a break. Not a single time. It has always been at me. And they're talking to me all the time. Well,
they just like you.
Yeah, well, I was speaking. I don't know whether it's like whoever it is just goes to, because I'm usually on mic 1, so whether it just goes to mic 1 or ever. So that was, I don't know if you got the message. Did you get the message?
I mean, I don't know if I can remember the message.
Oh,
I saw them walking around.
Yeah, it was very sudden. It just came up in my ears like, okay, the mayor wants to join you on the couch, bring him in. And then,
I saw like the assistant, like sort of
yeah, people were crowding around
and,
us, and then it came into my ears like, the mayor wants to sit with you, bring him in. And, oh no, it went like this, so the mayor wants to sit with you, bring him in and interview him.
Let me fix this real quick. Here we go.
There we go. Yeah, so the mayor wants to sit with you, bring him in and interview him. And I'm like, sure, like, okay, why not? Let's do this. So I was like, oh no, and also, here's the mayor, bring him in. And we sat him down and he turned out to be super cool. That was really nice. And then I could see Dari was floating around with a shirt. She's like mouthing at me like, let's give him the shirt. So I'm like, trying to do this while we're talking to the mayor. I'm like, come round to my side. Because you were like talking to the mayor, so you couldn't see Darius. So I'm like, come round to my side. And she's like, shall I come round? I'm like, yeah, come round. I'm trying to mouth this while still not looking ridiculous on camera, because everyone's like, is that the mayor?
Who is now lovingly referred to as the mayor of Goldshire. EU Goldshire. Goldshire EU.
When he said he was into roleplay, man,
Goldshire
there was
EU.
to go with that. That was easily the best shift I had of the whole event. And then after that, it's been kind of garbage for me personally, I think. Except tonight. Tonight was good, which is, what day are we on? I don't know what day
We're day 10 or 11 overall.
Yeah, but what day is it of the week?
Oh, Friday.
Is it Friday? It's not Saturday yet.
It's Friday.
Okay, so...
I leave Saturday morning, so I hope it's not Saturday.
Yeah, okay, so it's Friday night now.
Yeah.
It's the first time I actually got to cast Method doing polls since then.
Oh, it's been like...
So that's like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
It's literally been, I said to the guys before,
polls.
I would like to do a check on my shifts, because I'm pretty sure only about 15% of my shifts have been actually Method doing something.
Sure.
And both of them, I think, were with you, and tonight. Mm-hmm. Like, every other shift I've had has been before Method started or after Method finished. And often with nothing going on. And that's really sucked, because you're coming on and there's nothing happening. You're like, okay, so I guess we're doing this then. And it's been, the last few days have been really tough, because they've been kind of awkward shifts. First thing in the morning, and like today was 9 till 12.
Okay.
And then till 9 p.m. There's a huge gap in the middle there. Where
I'm sitting in a gap right now while we're both sort of sitting here, as I have my last shift is actually still yet to come. I think I'm sitting actually right back down with Turkey and Aid.
Yeah,
last
it's very like a 2-hour shift, isn't it?
Yeah, because then we both gotta go to sleep.
Yeah, because we got to get on a flight.
Shuttles in the very morning. Yeah.
So it's
head back.
Yeah, the last few days have been a bit sucky, but overall it's been such a weird race. I mean, at the moment we're dealing with, of course, Limits 1, and we're dealing with the heavy abuse that a lot of the internet's throwing, which is fine. And I mean, we talked about it before. I'm totally okay with it, because I see it as like sports fans being very enthusiastic. I don't see it as anything more than that.
Sure. Within reason.
No, I mean, I don't take anything those guys say with any sort of sincerity, so it doesn't bother me at all. But it's always going to happen when the team comes second, and the guys did come second this time, which is a weird...
They come second twice in a row now. Well, they won't know if they come second yet.
Well, yeah, they haven't come second yet. They're still...
Right, well, they did Unot second, and they rebounded with Ajara, and they're facing another potential second here.
Yeah, I don't really... it doesn't take away from pieces, but I know neither Limit nor Method put any effort into Unat until like deep into it. So Unat I always consider kind of skew. Pieces did win it, and they prepared for it. We know Pieces was going hard on Unat, whereas the other guilds weren't in any way. Right. Like, they genuinely did not prepare for Unat. They never expected anything to come from that. Pieces were prepared for it and intentionally set aside time for it. Yeah. And they claimed the world first doing that. They made the right decision, is a better way of looking at it, because they did. Right. But not this time. They were fully prepared for this. They came in, they tried their best. And we're always in this weird spot, and I don't know if you feel uncomfortable with it, because I personally have said a few times, and I still agree, and I think Scripe said this, and he agrees, the guys didn't play particularly badly. It's just that Limit was absolutely on fire. So we're kind of having these conversations with the guys like, what's going to change, what's going to happen? And things do need to change, because the level's risen. And that's what you want to happen. This is a good thing. It has, yeah. You're trying to explain to people this is a good thing, and they're like, oh, you're trying to defend Method. It's like, no, this is a good thing for everybody. Yep. Because the race gets more intense, it gets more skillful. They have to raise their game, and that's what you want in competition. So this is a really positive outcome. I can say it in here because no one from Method can hear me. But it is a really positive outcome for the race as a whole, because now everything needs to be, they need to refocus and come back stronger than ever before. And other guilds now know where the bar is set. I'm a little scared about where it goes, though. Where
it goes is interesting due to the fact that, so I've heard a couple different things here, and sort of different parts of what you said there to pick them apart. I saw you had that Reddit thread open about the part of Scripe when he unmuted, starts talking about their performance.
Well, the guild didn't know he'd made that comment. So I was with the Method guys before they raided this morning as the early shift. So as the Method guys were coming in, I was speaking to them, and I was like, well, you saw what Scripe said, because it was one of the first things I saw when I checked Reddit this morning, just Reddit WoW, to see what was going on. I obviously saw that the initial angry tweets had been dealt with, which is normal. Like, there was nothing strange about that. I know a lot of the internet likes to make a fuss out of it, but these guys are first or last. That's how they consider it. They're like first or the last. So of course they're going to be frustrated with the amount of preparation they did. And now over the next week or so, that'll dissolve and they'll work on it as a more practical solution. But reading what Scribe said, I was like, okay. And then I talked to the guys about it and they hadn't seen it, so I had to bring it up for them.
Yeah.
But saying this might be his last tier as a player.
Yeah, well, because again, like the whole preface of this point is that he talks about how the meta has shifted, and what Limit has done is they've broken the meta, right? Well, which has been, you know, as it evolves and as esports have evolved in the same way, you know, I can think back a handful of seasons like Dota and League of Legends, maybe even Call of Duty or other sort of first-person shooter games have had the same thing, where they've had their team, and they have like their manager slash coach slash everything else, right? And then eventually, as it gets more and more competitive and different teams grow, you've got like analysts, and you got like your sports, I guess, that's what we're looking for here, like psychologists that are on board, like
Well,
analyze,
StarCraft
like,
has a lot of sports psychologists.
yeah, and then you've got your like extra coach, and you've got like your play-by-play guy, and you've got like your replay analyst, and it just moves and moves on this team. And World of Warcraft for the longest time, which is like the 20 people, at least in Mythic, the 20 people that are in the raid are the ones that control the raid. But now, which part of Scribe's comment is actually a little bit funny to me, because I thought they sort of have the weak aura team, but I think Limit took it to the next level where they basically were working directly with DBM
that
from
confused
outside.
me as well, because Noggy told me they had guys.
Yeah, I talked about it on cast today about how they have like a team behind the scenes working
Yeah,
on
I just
stuff.
don't think the idea. From what I was told, I spoke to Noggy on day one, and I was like, so I asked him because in Queen Ashara Progress, Noggy stepped out for like 4 hours just to make weak auras, even though he was going to be in the team, and then came back into the team. So they had to do 4 hours of progress without one of the players who was going to be in for the kill. And so I brought this up to him. I was like, now you're here. How is that going to work? Are we literally going to see you making weak auras like here? Is that going to happen? And he said, no, I've got a couple of guys who are doing weak auras, and I'm going to feed them the logs.
Yeah.
They have access to our Warcraft logs, and they're going to make the weak auras. And either that didn't work, I don't know the details, and I'm not going to ask them now. But either that didn't work, or Scribe wasn't happy with whatever was coming out, or maybe that was just weak auras that are literally like a boss mod, so they can do that. And if I think they were planning, and part of this is a big point about this race. Ny'alotha isn't technically difficult. Queen Ashara, in particular, was a massive technical challenge.
Sure, yeah.
It needed that 5 hours of Noggy making weak auras to track everyone's stacks, and when you needed to refresh and make sure it was exactly right until the kill.
And paying attention to the rune HP and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, all that stuff needed to be calculated, mathed out, and then it needed to be translated into an order which could just simply pop up saying go soak now.
Sure.
Right? That's what happened to happen. And then we also had the macros for where to stand, who goes where, you go stand at blue, you start running in circles, all that stuff. All that had to be created for Queen Ashara. Massive technical challenge. This fight is nothing in Ny'alotha is a technical challenge. Like you can do all of Ny'alotha without a boss mod quite easily. Yeah, you really can. There's nothing that isn't very visually obvious, and most things are tracked on an energy bar. So you know where tentacles are spawning. I mean, the best weak aura we've seen so far is just tracking who's next still available.
Yeah, sanity on everybody in the group, and then of course the neck if they're on or
Well,
not.
also, sanity's built into the ray frames as well. It just replaces your power bar, so you don't even need that.
Yeah.
You'd literally do with something just making sure what our next situation is. That's about it. And so I think Noggy's team, it was prepared for something like Queen Ashara, whereas what they really needed was Scribe, who's individually shifting like Devo aura, and who's turtling when and doing things like that. Like when are we using this cooldown and that cooldown, which a team doesn't need to do. It's a quick job. But Scribe is the one that does that. You're not going to send that to an external team. You're going to just do that yourself, which is what Scribe does. And I think that's where the disconnects might be. There was one team ready to do something really, really super technical for N'Zoth, which never ended up happening. And the other one was just constantly modifying it. Whereas what he's saying in his post is they can be doing pulls while I'm typing out the changes. I'm like looking at the pull, they don't need Devo Aura there, so I'm going to move it. And he's literally doing that and then sending that back out into the raid while they're in between pulls. So that's what I took away from it.
There's extra start of this, like again, trying to break down each of these pieces here to sort of like figure out what was going on. Is I guess it's not the controversy, I suppose, about this, but did you hear that a reason why, obviously, player skill totally out there. Like Limit deserves everything they did, and I'm an NA player, And I've been, ever since, obviously, I've always been playing the NA realm. I'm not have like some like favoritism to any other side of things. As a caster, I just want to see an awesome race, and hopefully not an incredibly bugged boss, which we got a little bit of that.
I'm glad it's in front of people's eyes, though.
Yeah, everyone gets to see,
The reality that does happen.
Yep. But the way that I was, everyone sort of figures out information and it kind of flows around, is that the limit employed the mathematician strategy for
I've
dress
heard
to
about
have.
this, so I need to be careful because this is what I've heard.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the details, so you have
But
to be
that's
careful.
the extra level, again, the meta.
Yeah,
change.
this analyst who doesn't even play the game is who's told me this? I think it was Kana who told me about it. Is that they had a guy just mathematically work out Drestagath for them, and Drestagath was one of the biggest advantages Limit got in this race.
13 polls, I believe.
2 hours, something like that, to kill Drestagath. And I've recently started working on Drestagath, and it's like, that fight is a joke. That fight is crazy. So yeah, this is more adding to what the teams will look like. And my issue with it is, not that players are doing this, because even my raid leader, Alex, he's like, it's a good idea, and he'd be okay with doing it as well.
Yeah.
He's kind of fine. Not every boss, like Turkey said, he's okay with it as well. If the fight calls for it, he's fine with it, but he still wants to play on the bosses where it's not needed. You don't need this on every boss.
Right.
Rather than being like, what Max did was like full time. Even he played some bosses, I think.
He played one, I believe. That was the joke about how Max didn't get emit the kills his entire time, but I think he was in for one boss.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's my worry is that the best thing that I took away from the World First race and saw happening over the last, this is like the third one we've done for raiding, and we did the Vegas one.
Yeah.
And we did Unat, kind of. Is how far are the top extreme going to go further? Because what I saw happening with the World First race is once the stage was set and people could see a point where it made sense, and now we've got a version here, we've got Midwinter here, all these guilds are starting to come to these events, and rating's really starting to pay off for them. They're starting to see financial gain.
Sponsors and eyes on them.
Yeah, they're actually getting some revenue from World of Warcraft, and this stuff starts to make more sense as an opportunity.
Yep.
Is more guilds were doing that because they could see where to go. But now, it looks like the top extreme that already have those resources are going to push it further out of reach, because it was a case of all the others were seeing something within reach, and we can reach for that, we can go for that, and that's why we saw the race picking up massively between so many guilds. Like there's so many guilds at 11 out of 12 now in the first week or so. But now the extreme are going to go that step further and put it out of reach again. And that's something that worries me. And the thing I hold on to for hope there, that it doesn't go into a really sort of esportsy thing too fast, too quick, where we have got teams of people, because I think next time we will have something like that in Shadowlands, is that there's guilds like Pieces out there in Midwinter who aren't world first. Pieces didn't get world first this time, but are absolutely capable.
Right.
And don't use any of that stuff. Like Midwinter don't even do splits. They only raided 4 days a week and held that top 10 spot.
Just
for like
pure
7
player
days.
skill, yeah.
They're just such good players that they held that top. They were in the top 10 for like 7 days or something crazy, and they only raided 4, and they don't do splits or any of that nonsense that comes with it. And that's a great testament to it. And Pieces as well, not streaming, not taking part in this, not going down the financial route or anything, just doing it because they want to. Also holding their own. So those give me hope.
Yeah.
But I can see in Shadowlands, we'll get to an event and there will be someone who's analysing everything as much as possible, going through code, checking timers and stuff like that, writing down what the preferred roster is, how their cooldowns line up, and maybe even getting to the point where they're mathematically working out which classes work best for each fight. Where you kind of want maybe
plug and play a little more.
Yeah, a little bit. So if you think of Drestagath, where you have this gap between being able to DPS the boss, is like, well, this class fits perfectly at points A, B, C, D, and E. This one only works at A, B, D, and E, right? So this one's better now. And it kind of reminds me of Moneyball. You seen the film Moneyball?
Yes. I mean, probably forever ago.
Yeah, but they start throwing algorithms at players. Instead of looking at players for their sort of like on-faceability and things like that, and personality and all that kind of stuff, they literally broke them down into statistics. And we might get, and that's the fear I have in the future. I know it seems like way off, but it wasn't that long ago before we were talking about analysts and coaches, right?
That's here.
That's here now. So in the future, is it going to be a case of like Mires, for example, consistent on 20 out of 30 pulls, or something crazy like that. Tends to wipe in certain scenarios this many times, and starts breaking down their statistics. So we have this like algorithm of choosing which players you want.
I mean,
That's my fear. I know that's like future talk.
Yeah.
But when I was talking on stream, it's like, I wonder where this goes, where the game becomes less and less important, and we start breaking it down numerically.
It'll lose a bit of its heart at that point.
Well,
right?
at some point there's a video game buried in here, right? that
Yeah,
was me. At some point it's a video game where we kill bosses, like where we get together with our friends at night and kill bosses. But it's, again, that's not my point to say, because you can do that with any sport. There's still people who play football at the weekend with their friends, and there's also the Premier League, which, and the World Cup. There's those. That's the element at the very top end. So
Right.
maybe I shouldn't be too concerned. I just worry. I just have this. I don't know. I feel like less of the game is taking part at the top end. When we start getting more buried in this kind of minutia, does that the more icing we could put on the cake, the less of the cake matters. Does that make sense?
And that's it's not only just the players and the outside of things too. I think it comes down to how the game keeps being designed. And you and I had our interview with Ian at BlizzCon, and we asked him about layers. And the fact that we see, and it's obviously gotten to a crazy point again. Legion had the same, like every patch added a new layer. BFA has done almost the exact same thing, added more layers, and what that does, those layerings of the game systems, requires more and more your player investment. It revolves around putting more time into the game, figuring out what the heck is even like good for your character anymore, and then how do you get those good things, and how random is the fact of can you get those good things, and then when you get those good things, in this case like corrupted gear, right, and the resources you have behind it, because now based on what is happening right now too, and how this will be more in the limelight from before, money has been obviously spent gold-wise through the Gallic system or otherwise, what the guild coffers bring in, and how much you pull in from now outside to impact the actual raid itself, and how many layers all these guilds have to compete with. And if you don't compete with those, are you even qualified to compete on the same level as the guilds that have all of those resources?
It's a really good point, actually, because we're almost looking at services like Gallywix, and I bet these guys are doing the same thing, as actually unofficial banks. And they're literally taking bank loans.
Yeah.
They're literally taking bank loans because, I mean, we've seen Limit spend 260 million, gold on BOEs, Methods spent around 100 million.
At least like they're open about it, right? How much they spend before they
Yeah, they're putting it out there because they're trying to point out how stupid this is. Like, again, this is again, my core fear of everything is you're pushing more people away. So if you don't have a good line of credit with, do you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know you're good for it.
Oh, it just hit me as...
Do you see what I'm saying? Where I'm going with this is like your guild has to earn a certain reputation
With Gallywix or whoever
with the number of other the gold boosting services that are supported by Blizzard. They're fine with it. That exist in the game now. Gold's okay. Is that you're now having to literally get lines of credit with these guys who they'll say, yeah, okay, our budget this tier is going to be like 300 million, and we will pay it back over time before the next tier by providing boosts for people for mounts and gear and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's a very real thing that's probably happened this tier is these guys have opened literally lines of credit with these guys.
Yep.
To have an infinite source of gold, or not, well, near infinite, should they need it, then it's not a concern for them and they'll sort it out over time. So now your guild has got the skilled players, but you don't have a good line of credit, so you can't keep up with the BOEs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of stuff that's the stuff that bothers me more. The deeper into this we go, and hopefully corruption is an anomaly. It's a new system. I'm not writing it off just yet. It's new. They're trialing it. They want feedback on it, and our big feedback I think a lot of players would give right now is like this BOE nonsense is fucking shit. Like that's it's so bad.
I mean, obviously, and then there's a huge Twitter thread that's now taken out of context. It's going on right now. I've been following it. I've only replied to one person. That actually added me directly, other than like all the rabble and trolls that are throwing a whole bunch of spit takes around. But the thread is going back and forth about something that I said that was clipped and only sent to Max. And it's a tough sell because it sounds like Max is sort of like throwing my comment sort of out there to the wolves. But a few tweets before, that's when he made the comment about how they're 250 million gold or whatever in debt and it costs like $40,000 US to recoup this, right? So it's like a car worth of fake in-game digital code to beat this encounter.
Yeah, value based on WoW tokens.
Sure, yeah, exactly. And my whole point that I brought up was defending the fact
that this is a little ridiculous. And I got to sleep with Nex on the couch, right, from Aversion, the GM and raid leader, and he spurred this conversation. He started it, right? He lit the fuse by saying that they can't spend 100+ million gold to buy this gear, and especially when you're competing in the overall space where you're on. So take an example in the EU realm, Method's got feelers everywhere.
Yeah,
so they're going to pick them up.
Issue.
And then Limit's got feelers everywhere in the NA realms. So if they've got 200 million, 300 million gold on either side competing for all these BOEs, they're going to scoop it all before the other guilds can even compete.
Oh, we've watched it happen in my guild, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I know there's obviously this, that's how the less fortunate in World of Warcraft gain gold, right? That's how people can, like even Mr. GM here went on a mythic farming run in the day, and he has like a 2.5 million gold item he's putting up at the auction house, which is cool. It's been happening forever, and getting resources from outside raids to bring them into raids is there. But at what point do you look at this and go, obviously it's all player driven, but the power of these items in a raid and the guilds that actually have the resources and the lines of credit to purchase these get such a huge advantage over everybody else. Like that, I mean, obviously I'm not going to take away any credit from what Limit has done. They played out of their minds. They won this tier based on so many factors.
Were people claiming you said they'd like bought the victory or something?
Correct. Well, that's what Max says in his tweet. He's like, "Sir, excuse me, sir, may I purchase a world first or whatever?" Right. The thing is,
clearly not the point.
Yes, the point is though. Obviously, their 250 million gold worth of BOEs helped in some regard.
Well, you would have spent 250 million if it wasn't going to help.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So to keep it in the context that there is obviously a point, I mean, you can take that back, they're not going to answer it to some regard, but you say, would you have gotten this far ahead or have done this well without the BOEs?
I mean, it seems like such an obvious situation. I'm not sure what we're talking about, really.
Yeah.
Like, of course it helped. But the main point is we don't want it to be an option to just buy mythic quality gear from the auction house. For
But you're buying like normal mode loot that dropped a tier 3 corruption or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Or you're buying normal mode loot that drops gushing limit, still better.
I shouldn't be buying. I mean, I'm always going to stand by this forevermore. You know, I should not be able to buy my BIS gear. That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me at all.
You didn't, I mean, there is the whole circular logic that comes up in the Twitter thread about how, well, I've earned or I've used my IRL money to buy in-game gold to buy my items in the game. So in one way you've earned it, right?
Enjoy your mobile game.
Sure, well, right, exactly.
Fuck that.
It's the one extra point that is, obviously there was lots of BOEs purchased in the previous expansion. Or previous expansions, previous raids, sure. Warforged, Titanforged gear, rings with sockets, whatever. But corruption is so potent, you're buying legendaries.
Oh, more powerful than legendaries. If we compare
Right.
it to Legion legendaries, for sure.
Right.
Way more powerful.
So there is obviously this power struggle of understanding too, and if the numbers are to be understood and believed, if Method has only spent whatever their coffers were plus 100 million in debt, or 110 million, or whatever the official term is, and Limit did 250 million, that's the part of the argument that came up in the Twitter thread was that like that's like trying to get mad at a NASCAR company for investing in the best parts for their car.
No, I don't blame the guilds for doing it.
No, I don't-
That's a crazy way of thinking about it.
Yeah, it's
You're not at fault for
it's-
buying the best possible gear for a world first race.
Yeah, it's the whole point. But
It's the availability of it that I take issue with. Like, it shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
Like, typically, I personally think it's fine if you can buy a near BIS piece. Near. But it's to help you progress to get the BIS piece.
sure.
Like, anything you can just buy has no...
That you'll have on the entire expansion.
It has no actual value to it, right? You're just literally walking up to a vendor, you're picking up an item and without any precursors other than having gold,
Yeah.
right? That you can actually buy with real money, essentially.
Yep.
And that's it. That's the start and the end of the journey, is the travel to the auction house. And I take issue with that. And if other people don't and they like buying their good quality gear, like...
It's not even an
I think
option.
that's poison. I think that's poison to the game as a whole. I think it should.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we should all go back to pure RNG drops, because that's been a huge issue in the race in the past. There's a lot of crappy items in raids and stuff, and you just don't get the drops. So one team gets a ton of really good Azerite on their mages, and the other team gets 0. Like that's as bad, going that way. And it's nice to have alternative sources of gear. Then you should be able to get close to a good piece, or a very good piece by BOE.
Yeah.
That's fine. Buying, in some cases, a 5k DPS upgrade on boots is crazy. in the current physical space of the game. I mean, you saw my sim, right? And my sim went from about 65k to 81k.
Yep.
Because I spent $1.5 million gold.
Yep.
That was what it took. And I disagree with that. I simply just disagree with that being possible. I think that's trash.
That is the textbook definition of pay to win.
Well, I got shouted at as well in the chat for that earlier because I said the game this is the closest we've been to full pay to win.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, it still takes skill, which I think that's Max's point as well. He's taken it that way. It's like it still matters who's playing it. Well, of course.
Of course it does.
Hopefully, that doesn't need explaining to anybody. It does. You can't just give somebody who's never played the game a Thunder Fury and expect them to just own everybody. That's not going to happen.
But yeah, I can go back to the Twitter thread and the NASCAR reference, right? So, okay, you obviously, if you have an incredible car and an incredible driver, you'll probably place incredibly in said race. Mm-hmm. But if you have an incredible driver and a Honda Civic, you might not place really well in that race. Mm-hmm. And the opposite can be said. If you have the best McLaren F whatever, and either one of us schmucks, we're not going to place that well in that NASCAR race.
No, just look at it from an FPS point of view, which most people play. If somebody has a gun that one-shots you and sprays the room, you're probably not going to beat them with your fists, right? I mean, I know that's the point you're coming from. Is like it's still, of course, it still takes skill. It's like that's not the point. Like we want to know who's the most skilled, not who has the biggest bank, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
It's not something I thought played a big role in the World First Race because they both have access to infinite gold, so I don't think it mattered. Mm-hmm. I assume both of them have good lines of credit, so I don't think it was a big issue in terms of the race. But what it does do is what I was coming to, and I think you are as well, is that there is a supply and demand. These guilds with infinite money can scoop up the best bits that they want and not really care about the gold because they can get it later. Whereas the guys who are trying to compete with them or looking to eventually compete with them can't. Like, they just can't. Those pieces are gone by the guilds with the infinite gold, and now they have that significant upgrade over them. And they're losing, it's becoming more out of reach. The same thing I talked about earlier with the teams and analysts and things like that. It's like it becomes more out of reach. And you have to be careful because competition is everything. And there'll always be guilds who are super good anyway. They're always going to be guilds.
Like Midwinter.
Midwinter, they're just super, super good.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be, Midwinter and Turkey will say, they're in no position to add all this extra stuff on. They just can't.
Sure.
There's just no way. It's not realistic. They can't do it, and they don't want to do it either. Like that's just a step too far for them. Mm-hmm. And then we have to be very careful that we don't just end up with a 2-horse race
again,
because we're in this stage where it's not a 2-horse race, and we want to see what the East does, and we want to see what other guilds do. If we have this global release and people were on par, more people would be encouraged to try. But if we then push it so far out of reach that it's like, and BoEs are a big problem with that. Because there's only one person going to get those boots, and it's whoever pays the most.
And it's even the point of contention here too is say if you're in the EU realm and you get these boots, like say if you're Big Dan right now, and it's one of the pieces that Method needed, you could just literally DM, or even both Limit and Method were open about this on their social medias about they had a Discord channel set up that you can just sell your BoE directly to them. There's no middleman, there's no auction house, there's no waiting, there's no chance. You just got lucky with your RNG drop and you get the gold. Which, in a normal sense of, in the way the ecosystem of the game works, like if you've ore or enchanting mats or materials that are sort of the baseline, sure. But being able to directly influence, and as we've no doubt seen, of course, there's going to be camps that have been built around Limit and Method and their fans, and there are people in their communities that want to just like farm and give them things, right? There's limits to that where it seems healthy. But then there is that next level, that new out of reach level you're talking about, that it gets kind of, it gets just a little gross. It's just that.
Well, you're off putting competition. At that point, they're like, I don't want to involve in that. I don't want my guild to be like almost in a contract where we're 100 million in debt. And we're paying off debts now to raid, and things
that's what's happening right now, though, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Method and Limit know they're going to be around for a while, which is probably why they have a good line of credit. Or if that is what they did, I don't know. Like again, this is all like what is likely to happen.
Yeah.
For such gross amounts of gold, that's likely what's going to happen.
Right.
So it's a case of you're pushing it further out of reach for the guilds, but at the same time, we can't stop evolution. Change is hard, and this is what's happening. And the way it's fixed is by simply not having such powerful items available for BoE. That's how you fix it at the source. The solution isn't the problem.
It's a Blizzard decision.
Yeah, do you understand what I'm saying? Like saying that these banking services exist, which they do, and the guild's running these massive amount of tabs, that's not the problem. That's the solution to the problem.
Correct.
You can't blame Limit, you can't blame Method for buying the best quality gear for a world first race. That's fucking, obviously you can't blame them. What you do is you just don't create, there's nothing wrong with having good strong BOEs that are available to everybody. That's fine. But what you don't need is literally your best in slot till the end of the expansion coming from the auction house. That's totally unreasonable in my opinion.
Well, let's shift gears for a little bit, sort of tail down this this video. So it's not
together. Sorry.
no. We've got to get it out, right? We got to get it out that open because the viewers that are going to watch this online right now are people that are our communities that are going to understand where we're coming from, right? They'll be like, of course, yeah. They're not going to be the rabble that is in Twitch chat.
I just gave that to the stream. I've just done that bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Is the huge positives that have come out from this overall, though, right? So we have definitely seen more guilds jump into the pool. That's what we both said. We're really excited to see if the Asian guilds, what they do, if the information is on the same level, if Blizzard does make a global launch of raids in the future. There's no doubt that they cannot have not noticed the amount of, even our Race to World First, our little coverage we did for Crucible of Storms, was still a rather big amount of coverage for such a small thing that I just hosted in my room. That there's so many eyes on this as a whole. It shows that
the viewing numbers have been crazy.
If this was on an even keel, if everyone was on the same playing field that first day, I know it's like the dead horse is now glue. It's been made into something else. It's a horse sculpture that's been also made into glue. It's fine, but like that's the thing is, as us being involved in this from our perspective, would be incredible to see not 7, 8, 9 bosses in this case go down to NA. With EU, they can't. There's no new strats. There's no different kind of approaches. There's no different peels on different parts of when raids become non-linear. Different regions going to different bosses that have different comps, taking different first on all the early bosses as well. It's been so much that there's that 16-hour window where all these bosses go down to NA, and all those strats and information goes right to the EU, to the Asian realms, and then they all just catch right back up. That there's no unknown because of what this has become, and that's sort of the weird problem that's developed because of the way the game launches, and now that the world stage is so much more prevalent, with 4.5 or so of these events being a thing, there's going to be a long lull, and Shadowlands is in beta and testing and whatever, where hopefully a lot of things improve internally, but as you said as well, these guilds are going to adjust and adapt and get ready for the next race, where we're going to that, Castlevania Edgelord Vampire Castle.
Oh yeah, I mean they've got so long to prepare for it as well. This is because we are at the end of expansion.
Long time.
Most disappointing end of an expansion ever, by the way.
Ny'alotha is definitely
absolute shit.
We're not going to talk about that in this. We've talked about it enough on the couch. We're both pretty much in agreement that I think the fundamentals of the encounter are fine, but the actual execution of that there was no. I didn't even dawn on me today. I don't know who said it today on the couch. We get poured into the Chamber of Heart as just like a sidebar. Remember the dragons were there, right?
Yep.
Where are the dragons? No dragon aspects, fending off and helping Azeroth. No dragon aspects, nothing. The whole, that main point of that entire story arc, where the dragons go, just...
I need someone to... I need someone to quit Blizzard and do a tell-all.
No!
Because that's the only way we're going to find out what happened with this boss.
Have you heard the new rumors that apparently the reason why parts of the fight weren't working for Limit is because they wouldn't, that the triggers to turn on other parts that were supposed to happen weren't working, so they just stopped them from working?
I'm 100% that's what happened. I'm pretty sure.
That's so sad if that's the case.
I think it's worse than that.
It would be awful.
I think it's worse than that. I think there was actually supposed to be stuff happening way earlier in the fight that they couldn't get working.
Oh my
so
God.
They turned that off. This is what I think happened. I think there was stuff supposed to happen early and it wasn't working, so they turned that off and said, right, well the chamber's working, right? Sure. They looked around and was like, is the chamber working? And they're like, the chamber's working, we can do that. Okay, well there's a while before they hit 25% because we've tuned it really hard. So we've got some time to get the rest of the fight working. Wall. Yeah, exactly. I would love to be a fly on the wall in the office because we have some time to get this working.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to it. And then Limit gets to 25% 3 times, and he's still immune, and they don't do anything about it because they're likely because Limit hasn't actually reached the portal yet.
No.
Right? So that's buying Blizzard more time to fix whatever the problem is. They haven't quite reached it. And then it's getting to the point where, oh shit, they're actually reaching it now. Is it working? No, it's not working. All right. And then they get apparently an email which just says, just kill the boss. And I'm pretty sure everything they had planned for Ny'alotha, all they managed to get working is just the chamber room, which makes no fucking sense in the first place, which really bugs me.
With just that one faceless dude.
It's got one faceless dude, and for that, the room spawns 3 giant bombs. Yet in your story of this patch, the Chamber of the Heart is attacked by endless corruption, and nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, you even had like a more fantastical phase when Rawden, that little cutscene that Rawden fends us off.
Yeah.
When the tentacles were spawning, and
Right.
it kept like, it was like overwhelming, and you literally, as one player and the NPCs, you couldn't fend it off. Then Rawden's like, all right, I'm gonna go in, right?
Exactly.
And then he gets sucked in, and he's like, he was the hero because you couldn't do it. If that was like a raid version of that in some regard, without the Rawden effect, where you're fending it off as like this huge, massive void assault, something that was like that.
Something that made any form of sense would have been fine. And I want to go back and find the VOD of day 1 of the race.
Yeah.
Where I said, like, the worst possible out, and I know I said this.
Maybe.
I literally we were going through what's the N'alotha mythic phase, because they'd obviously teased us that there was going to be one. And I just said, we came up with all these wonderful theories about the world soul.
Yeah.
I think you were there downstairs when we were going through the data files, and it's like,
I was watching.
there's mention of the world soul, there's mention of all this, there's something to do with the dagger that'll make that make sense, because that doesn't make sense to BFA, and all that stuff. And then I said the worst case scenario I can possibly imagine, and I was memeing, it was so bad. You know when you think of your favourite TV shows being remade or something, and you come up with the worst way they could possibly remake it. And I just said, if it's another smaller Psychus, I will lose my mind. If that's the best they've come up with, is yet another Psychus, and it's just like slightly smaller or something. I was like, that is the worst possible thing I could think of. And then they got to that chamber phase, and I saw it, I was like, unbelievable. Like, that is the best you could come up with, was yet another one of these Psychus dudes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what happened here, but it's bad. Because all the N'alotha mythic fight is heroic turned up. That's it.
It's just phase 2 for 8.5 minutes.
It's phase 2 for 8.5 minutes. That's it. That's literally as creative as it gets.
Yeah.
It's phase 2 heroic. Numbers are turned up so it kills you, and just
And there's an aura.
trash.
There's an aura, and the ads go up and down.
Absolute trash.
Yeah, considering it's unfortunate because of the art and the presence and the actual well-to-do with N'alotha and just the presentation of Ny'alotha and some of the actual really interesting bosses in the raid. It's just unfortunate that it ends with sort of a...
It ends with just a complete whimper of...
Yeah.
And I think, and I have to stand by this, otherwise I'll just be really upset. I have to stand by, it's not what they wanted to do, and whatever reason, whether it was a technical issue, they planned to do something and they just could not get it working because it was so complex or whatever. I mean, that's possible as well.
Very true.
Or lack of resources, but lack of resource doesn't make sense because people are like, oh, Activision did it. It's like, no, because the rest of Ny'alotha isn't like that.
Yeah.
Like, no other boss in Ny'alotha is like that. They have varying scales of difficulty, which we can argue about all day. But creativity-wise, nothing else in Ny'alotha is as bad as N'alotha. It just isn't. Drestigath is more interesting than N'alotha. And that's a terrible fight, but it is. Like, Vexiona is better, Rawden is... Name something that's worse than the N'alotha fight.
The Rawden encounter is going to go down as the best fight in this tier. Rawden, Il'gynoth, and Drestigath.
Yeah.
I think you're going to hear a lot of. And the fun memes of Zanesh.
Yeah, Il'gynoth's kind of being cheesed right now. We were hoping they'd fix it at reset. I mean,
I know.
I think, who was it? Aversion killed it in like 15 pulls or something stupid.
But they did like an amalgamation of the alpha strategy. If you're unaware, the Cursed Blood effect on Il'gynoth, you can just leave it on everybody, and if no one dies, it ignores the mind control effect.
Yep.
So you take out a whole mechanic, and you're ignoring the cursed mechanic itself for most of it, so you're not hitting the entire raid with the giant plumage of damage. So
Yeah, you
you're
just
avoiding
crank pulls and kill the ads, and the boss just dies.
Yeah.
That's it. So there's that going on, which we thought we'd fix, because they did fix Rawden, but...
You did?
It just makes no sense. Like, N'alotha makes no sense, and it can only be that they were planning something just like they did with Carapace with walking on the tentacles, that for some technical reason it wasn't working. We weren't allowed to test it. So I can only imagine what my realistic theory is, if I'm being brutally honest, is they kind of got it looking like it was working. They then put a team in there to test it, which was obviously either in God mode or wearing some ludicrous gear, because that's how Blizzard tests these things, because we're not allowed to test them. And it didn't work. And they were just like, why is it not working? I don't know. Go back and fix it. Nobody's at N'alotha yet. And they had this team testing it who was just trying their best, and it just wasn't working. And ultimately they were like, we need to fix this, it's not going to work. And then in the end, they just kind of just had to say, you guys are already at the point where you're going to kill it, and we haven't been able to get any of this stuff working. It's already like 8-9 minutes long. Just kill the
I
boss.
think it's the next opening question that we present to Ian if we
They'll
ever
never
talk
tell
to
us.
him again.
Yeah, they'll never tell us.
Yeah.
They are never going to expose that they physically couldn't get something working.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question to be asked was there more planned for Ny'alotha, I suppose. I mean, we obviously we're sort of known in that. It's funny actually to sort of pivot this back, like I said before, on something that's a little more lighthearted and silly. It's funny to see how much of the internet still thinks that only you and you alone came up with like the benthic question for Ian at last BlizzCon. Well, we were both for like an hour before the interview going over all of our questions.
No, I win this one. I did. It's on the Discord logs from like 2 or 3 months before we did it.
Oh, really?
I win this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I was thinking about it because you contacted me to say I can get you in on the interview.
Yes.
And then we were talking about how we wanted to approach it. And I said we need to ask something silly. And we were going
You gotta break the ice.
Yeah, we got to break the ice. We need to ask something because just in case he is uptight about what either we or I might say.
Or you just being there.
Well, at that point, remember, I was thinking that he'd turned down all the interviews because he didn't want to talk to me. So there was definitely a chance of that. So yeah, I think I said we should ask him about slots on Benthic Gear to break the ice because it's about to go away and it'll disappear.
Yep.
I am claiming that one. I have it on logs.
I guess then to wrap this down, so we're just under an hour of us just rambling about all this stuff, is we have our highlights, Chubby Bunny, and the huge ridiculousness of the Xanash casting with the two of us. We've also obviously casted with a whole bunch of other content creators, casters, broadcasters, analysts that have been on the couch this whole time, but I suppose what is your take on how big this is becoming and how big it's growing and the new people that have brought in and the new faces that are sort of being weaved into the whole event and the POVs now we have and the upgrades that Take has done and the production overall?
Production has been amazing this time. Like, absolutely amazing. Considering that we
I
have
just saw you holding Princess Peach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
we had a lot of issues with production last time.
Yeah.
But it was their first time running World of Warcraft and none of them knew much about World of Warcraft, so it was a really adjusting period. And they came back so strong.
Yeah.
That it has just been ridiculous. Like, constantly on the mic. Like I say, I literally had one of the guys walk out with me and just hug me. He was like, that was so good working with
Aww.
you. And that's really fantastic. I've had that at most events now, is where production's like, loved working with you. And I'm like, that's cool, man. Because it's a team effort. You have to know this. It's hard to remember sometimes, because I think a lot of casters, Dari was asking about this, is like, what tip would you give to casters who want to get involved and stuff like this? And I just said, understand there's a team of people who are helping you. There's like a full production crew in that back room, and and don't think it's all on you to sit there and just be like this dancing monkey. Like, that's not the case.
Oh, you're Rich.
Well, I cast with Rich. Have you seen it? It was awesome. He was
Really?
totally down to earth. He was totally fine. We had a really good cast together.
I
And
just meant that he dances.
he does dance a lot, but Rich tends to do that depending on who he's working with.
Yeah.
Like, if he can't bounce properly, he'll turn it up for himself. But we had such good cast. He come off and it was just like, that was the most fun cast I've had all the time. I was like, that's such a nice compliment, because he was like, that was amazing. That was
I didn't get a Rich cast this time.
I only got one.
You got one.
That was my first one.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, we actually overran by half an hour without realising it.
Oh, you just kept going?
Yeah, and the other guys just didn't come out.
The production didn't tell you.
Production didn't say anything, and the other casters who were supposed to replace us just sat in the room saying, you two were having a good time, so we just left you to it. So fine, I guess. Because we looked at the clock and I was like, I'm pretty sure we finished at like 3.
Yeah.
And he was going, yeah, I'm going to get some dinner. And I was like, it's 3:30. We like finished half an hour ago. So we finished then. But just know there's a whole team of people around to help you all the time. Especially a good production team is so important, because Xanash would have been the best one. Xanash was like, we could see the POVs on ERT notes. The production is still getting used to World of Warcraft, so they didn't pay attention to ERT notes. So through that, we were like communicating every swap to make sure we could watch every ball, and then afterwards, it worked dreamlessly. So you've got to know, and I think I said this to the guys from Turkey from Midwinter, because it was his first time he's done this kind of job, is
Who was out there?
Dari.
Oh, what are you doing?
We're leaving.
Okay, I'll see you in the morning.
I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah, way too early.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All North America is leaving now.
Yeah, Dari and JB are leaving because I have one more cast, like I said, coming up, and then I'm also getting on the plane.
Yeah, so, yeah, understand that it is production now, actually, but understand you've got these two guys that are willing to, if you talk to them, they'll work with you and get everything sorted, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good.
No, it's been really fun. I think all the stuff they've worked on the fly, all the little things they've done and comped in, all the little jokes we've built up, all the like.
I still don't like the peach face though.
Well, that's Pleb. Pleb did that.
I know,
I'm
he did.
sure.
I know.
Sorry, I mean Mr. Cozy.
Mr. Cozy.
Mr. Cozy.
I still have
But-
never listened to that advert.
Yes, you have.
I haven't.
You've had
I
to
haven't
have heard
listened-
it.
No, I just because every time we go to break or something like that, I like take the headphones off.
It's
and
on the
we
studio
chat.
speaker on the TV though.
I haven't heard it. I've heard it in the background. That's
Yeah.
the best as I can tell you. It's been like elevator music where I don't really notice it too
true.
much. But yeah, overall, it's been a good show.
I think it hopefully has been. I mean, it's still going on right now. Obviously, you're stuck here for.
till it dies. I'm here till it dies. So
They're getting closer.
soon, please.
What was the lowest we've seen right now? 14?
Yeah,
12?
they're very
14?
close. They're very, very close. I actually expect it to die tomorrow morning. Oh, tomorrow.
It sucks it won't matter till night though. It's going to be a whole, took method an extra day and a half to blah blah. But
that doesn't bother me. It's
no.
But yeah, I expect it to die tomorrow. Then I'm going home and see my kids. And of course, we've asked that it's PreachCon.
Yeah, I guess you want to tail in this with anything the tease about PreachCon?
No tease.
Am I
No
invited
tease.
back?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
I know it's now real, and I have to work on it because we had so much trouble with the venue this time. That Emma signed the papers while I was here. And
Same venue though, yeah?
It's going to be the same venue. We finally got in touch with the guy who was like, okay, we can do something.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing yet. We've only just signed it, but people need to book it off work, so we've announced the dates for the people who need to book holidays and things like that.
Right.
Tickets haven't gone on sale or anything like that yet, so that's
Okay.
all to come. But other than that, I'm going to bed.
Yes. So you're actually just going to bed.
Well, I'm back in casting first in the morning, so yeah.
You have at 9 a.m.
I have a 9 a.m, which doesn't seem too bad because it's only 10:15 right now, but I was up at 5 this morning, so I'm very, very, very sticky-eyed. I'm actually sticky-eyed. My hands keep sticking together.
All right then.
And my wife's calling me at the same time, so you can say hello to Emma.
In the video?
Don't swear, Emma. It's Bay's leaving video, so say goodbye to Bay. Bay's leaving tomorrow. Can you hear me? Yeah, we're doing our video to say goodbye, so say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, Emma. Say bye to YouTube.
I miss you.
Oh,
She misses you.
Okay. Well,
I'll call you back in 2 minutes then.
I'll accept that.
Alright, so good night, internet friends.
All right, yes. Good night, everybody. That's that. Give your comments down below, of course, what you thought of the event. Cast your combos, duos, memes, whatever else down below, and so we can see what you guys thought of the Race to World First. Of course, as this goes up, there's probably a couple of days left, so go check this guy out for the next couple of days on the couch and whatnot. But that's gonna do it for us. Should be fun, Joe.
It's cozy. I'm just gonna go to sleep on the shoulder.
Yep.